Oh, okay, it's like good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another session of the European Microfinance Week, the changing face of agent models. My name is Doreen Lukandwa, and I will be moderating this session. I would quickly like to introduce the other speakers. Emmanuel Emodek, who is the founder and MD of ChapChap, and Geoffrey Achini, who is the country manager of Flow. So you have had the opportunity to be part of many conversations around the challenges being addressed by some of the most innovative solutions that are accelerating financial inclusion. And while many of us appreciate the power of digital payments through online banking, through card payments, mobile money transfers, mostly in emerging markets between one person to another, there are other aspects, but also other portions of people across the world who are still underserved and underbanked. So during this session, we're going to hear a bit more about how these two businesses have devised some of the most revolutionary, human-centered designed solutions. But instead of just hearing this from us, I will introduce a quick video where you will hear some of this feedback from their customers. Over to the video. Sorry about that, it should be playing shortly.
Then I'm Rachel Langa Nkola Mulake Cosmetic Shop Tangibwe Start. Ninako ne party ya mobile money kozesa ChapChap. I'm Tumfumo Emily from Kasana Trading Center, Kulambilo, mainly Kisasi. I have my business here. The name is Kusima Trading Store. And another thing, what I do is mobile money. I do mobile money using ChapChap. And
my name is Nachito Rebecca. I'm the owner of Becky's Beauty Spot in Chisasi. I plait hair.
Amanya gange Zesise Namzimule Chitumba. I deal in phone accessories. I even sell phones. I have a mobile money, but I deal with ChapChap.
My name's Mr. Sumba Sowed. We are dealing in hardware and mobile money services.
How is it?
I'm fine. How are you?
I need to deposit for me 100,000.
Okay, number. I did depositing, withdraw bills, all bills, water bills, your car, StarTimes, GoTV, and everything like any bill that you can think of, even to Gende for Boda guys.
So
Thank you too. I did a transaction of depositing for a customer. That means I'll be reducing on the float that I'll be having. It requires you to either go and deposit some money to the bank. If not, deposit money on your either mobile money, MTN or Airtel, which is expensive and time consuming. It will make you lose customers, lose transactions, because you'll not be in position of depositing for others and buying for them bills. And you'll be getting little commission, which is not good for one to run a business.
I always come at Sisi's place to do money transactions. Yes, because she's near, and they have become more important, especially since the lockdown, the pandemic, because we can easily access them. They are near to our homes. They are not like the banks. You just walk from home to the merchant, you deposit money, you withdraw. You can also buy electricity, and you have light at home so that the children can do their homework. Such merchants are very important in the community, and we need them.
In my business, I deal with hair, plaiting hair, selling braids, doing retouches and treatments. I sell drinks to my clients if they happen to come and they want some. Sell sodas, juice, water. Again, in my salon, I sell women's shoes and open shoes. I also do mobile money services. I do deposits and withdrawals. I pay bills. I sell airtime of all networks using my phone under the ChapChap platform. Previously, I was getting little customers because I didn't have enough floats and I didn't have enough things to sell in my business before joining Future. During the lockdown, we didn't have any money. We were not working properly, but using the float chap, I was able to run my business. I've increased on the number of braids that I sell a day because of that float that I get there. I add in. I've been able to buy shoes to sell when I'm getting money from the float chap. I've been able to get more customers because now I have everything that they want.
Important. That was amazing. I think the important thing to take away from this video is that there is a market that is underserved, that do not have access to mobile phones, that don't have access to mobile money, that don't have access to make bill payments and things like that. So we want to understand a bit more about this specific type of model. How are these people able to access these services within their communities? So I'll start by asking Emma, what challenge did you identify in the market, and how does ChapChap aim to solve that challenge? What is unique about your story?
Thank you so much, Doreen, for this opportunity. So a few years ago, before we had the model, the agency model, for us to access this financial services, we had to walk some good distances and look for banking halls, and we had to probably to pay for our bills, our electricity, and pay for our water. We had to walk to these banking halls, and you would find a huge line and a couple of people lined up to pay for their bills. What is interesting is that at that time, before we had this agency model introduced, you would find 22 branches that were serving 100 and plus customers, which made it very difficult and expensive for us to access these services. And today, what we are seeing close to 200 and plus agents being able to serve the same number of customers. So that means that today, these services have been brought closer to the especially the low income population. And also we have made it affordable because the cost of operations of an agent are much lower than operating a bank branch. And this is the value that we're bringing closer to the communities that are being served by these agents.
So in essence, an agent is an extension of a bank or a telco or a mobile money provider, correct?
Yes, they're basically an extension of these financial institutions.
Could you tell us a bit more about the market that you're offering this service in?
So we are working with small, micro, medium enterprises that already were doing traditional businesses before, and what they didn't have is they didn't have access to markets like the financial sector. And what we did, based on our research, we noticed that if we could collectively bring this SMEs close up together, would have a good purchase bargaining power. And that's what basically we're offering. So the mom and pop shops in the country right now are able to extend the services and earn an extra income from extending the services to their communities, which adds value to their existing infrastructure.
Thanks, Emma. And I think this complements the video very well, in the sense that These are small shops that they don't have too much to offer, but just enough to sustain their existing businesses, sustain their customers, and continue to scale through these mobile money services that you provide them. And I guess one of the big challenges there would be, how do they get capital for these businesses? So that being said, I would like to ask Geoffrey to tell us a bit more about Flow and how Flow complements this kind of solution in a market like Uganda.
Thank you, Doreen. Thank you, Emmanuel, for that input. Flow's mission is to make sure that all independent businesses thrive in the digital economy. One thing you should know, most independent businesses, like we have seen in the video, also do offer agent services. So they do digital transactions, you can do your mobile money and all that, okay? Now, the economy being mostly prepaid means that they need to have this e-value before they can go and maybe do a bill payment or sell you airtime or deposit money in your account. Now, ChapChap is making this possible right now. So by offering a platform where these agents can actually do those digital transactions. Now, the fact that they have to prepay means they're always limited by the liquidity that they have. And they cannot get any additional capital from the bank or from the traditional financial institution because they're considered very risky or they're considered small or informal. And yet, companies like ChapChap are gathering a lot of data from these independent businesses. So we at Flow look at alternative ways of mitigating risk. So we look at the data that, for example, ChapChap has, and we come up with customized solutions for these businesses. So that's how Flow fits into this matrix. We take advantage of the data that is being generated, which is very rich, and we use that to come up with very innovative solutions for independent businesses in several markets.
Thanks, Geoffrey. Just from what you've said, my mind quickly runs to the SDGs and how there's a whole agenda to support the underserved and the vulnerable, leaving nobody behind. And the other thing that I picked up from the video is that there were a lot of women, no guys. So my question to both of you is, how are you accelerating this agenda? How are you including women more and reducing or eliminating the barriers that they face in becoming financially included? Whoever would like to take the question first.
Yeah, so thank you, Darian. So traditionally, as you know, women face a lot of challenges in getting access to financial services. So, you know, culturally, for example, women don't, in some cultures, don't own property. It's the husbands that do all the business and basically manage every single capital that the family has. So that in itself is a very big barrier for these women to be able to get credit from traditional financial institutions, because the financial institutions will ask for collateral, which is like land title, which they don't have. So what we're doing is trying to get rid of all those barriers and having alternative ways of making sure that even the women get access to these financial services like credit.
Thanks, Geoffrey.
To add on to what Geoffrey has said, today a woman has a more burning reason to run a business than the man. And today, when we go into the market, we see more women in the market than men. So and when we keep on asking these women, you see, a woman can't go home when the children have no food. But it's so sad that today there are so many men who can go home and give an excuse for not having brought food on the table. So we're seeing more women participating, and actually out of 76% of the businesses that we are dealing with are women owned and run. So I think that we in years to come, we're going to see more women participating in this space.
Oh, that's amazing. And I think one of the things that's come out very strongly during this pandemic period is that the role of a woman has been sort of announced even louder, if you will. And my question to you then is, what have you seen during this pandemic? What kind of insights have come true to you from both sectors, the ChapChap side and the Flow side? Emma?
I think it's first of all, Doreen, before I answer your question, it's basically maybe to understand where do these individuals come from who are running these businesses. So these are young women and men who have undergone school, come out, graduated highly, but don't have an opportunity to get a job. They basically go out, search, and there are no jobs available. But what they do, instead of them putting out their hands and crying out to the government for assistance or for anyone around them, they basically fold their fists and go out and say, we want to make this happen. We want to better our lives. We want to create a better environment for us and our kids. So rather than giving a burden to society, they go out, and we call them the uncelebrated heroes. And what we have seen during the COVID time is the resilience in them. Is that despite of the fact that the situation is difficult, they still get out of their comfort zone to actually go out there and make ends meet. And that's something that actually we have personally seen, that during COVID, almost 80% of the businesses out there that were using ChapChap were still running. And definitely with the help of Flow, it made it much easier for them to continue operating.
And I think I've seen, of course, an increased need or demand for digital services across the board because of the lockdown, remote operations. And how has Flow aided that demand at the moment? How have you met that need for increased digital services through these agent points?
Yeah, so maybe to add on what my colleague Emma has said, during the pandemic, we as Flow continued servicing our customers. Many of them were not able to continue business, but also many of them were able to continue servicing their communities. We continued providing them with the necessary liquidity that they needed. And yeah, it's very interesting because during that hard time, you could see that the most really resilient customers that we had that continued even pushing the businesses were females. So those give us very good insights. The female customer is usually the best customer that you have because she has purpose and that determination to make sure that the children go to school, they have food to eat. So every morning she's going to wake up and make sure that she goes to her shop to continue providing these services. So Flow being able to provide the liquidity to these people is something very, very, very significant, and it has a lot of impact. They continue to serve. During the pandemic, you saw that a lot of the transport systems were shut down. There was a total lockdown. People could not take the bikes or the cars to go to town, to go to the banks. And the only option they had were to go to these small shops to do their transactions and pay their bills, deposit or send money to a family member who is stranded and locked down in another area. So I think these small independent businesses, these agents, are very pivotal in the community that they serve.
Thanks, Jeffrey. I've definitely been one of your customers. I've definitely gone to that corner shop to pay for my electricity bill or pay for my water bill. So it's kind of great to see it in action and to see the kind of impact that it creates. I think one of the things that I have noticed is that one corner duka will serve a community of over 1,000 people. So ultimately, that is how you are accelerating financial inclusion. My other question to you both is, what do you feel are the key success factors or drivers for these agents to succeed? I'll start with Emma.
For me, definitely, for us to enable inclusion, before we talk about financial inclusion, just to enable inclusion, it means that many of the existing entities or organizations need to open up. They need to open up and look at especially fintechs as an opportunity to reach that person that we are not able to reach. Based on your question, Doreen, it is so interesting that today, many of the people who are earning from the financial institution 100 years ago never got an opportunity to do that. It was meant for only a few people who could run a bank or own a bank. Currently, the mom and pop shop that you said you go to and you did your deposit or your withdrawal made a coin out of that transaction. That is what we need to have in society, that we have equal distribution of resources.
Geoffrey?
Yeah, so maybe what I can add on that, most of these businesses, like you described, are left out, I would say, from the formal financial services. And I think that is a very, very important aspect of that determines the success of their business, their ability to access financial services. And I think that is where Flow comes in, to ensure that we find innovative ways to make sure that all these small agents and small brokers and mom and pop shops have access to certain financial services like other businesses do.
Okay. We have a couple more minutes. I would like to encourage the audience, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat as I ask this next question. So based on everything that you have said, Geoffrey, I'd like to get a good understanding of how you have incentivized these agents to actually maintain a good repayment cycle.
Yeah, thank you, Doreen. So one very important thing that we have really done is customer engagement. So from the very beginning, when we started a relationship with the customers, we engage them, and we have a dedicated team of field staff called relationship managers that one do acquisition, but also maintain the customers that they have. We engage them on a very regular basis and always get their feedback. And post-COVID, post-lockdown, we got to see how important this is and how much it plays a role. Because due to that engagement that we had prior to this whole crisis, now we were able to ensure that we kept a very good portfolio, and the customers were very compliant and kept on paying back because they see the value that we bring to the table. Because this is not a service that they can get anywhere. They can't go to the bank and get even $100 or $500. So they see the value, and together with the engagement that we have with them, that ensures that we always have a very good, we mitigate on the risk that would have otherwise been there.
Great. And I know ideally for these agents to be able to repay a loan, it means that they must have a source of income, money coming in regularly. So aside from what they're doing traditionally within these shops, Emma, could you tell us a bit more about the value proposition you make to them? Why should they be a ChapChap agent?
Thank you, Doreen. So many of these small businesses that are already engaging in the fast-moving commodities and groceries. And one thing that we've noticed is that having these digital services, first of all, attracts more walk-in customers to their premises, because then they have a variety of products. But secondly, is that these products that they already have, traditional products that they already have in their businesses, don't move as fast as the digital services. So for example, if I bought a stock of bathing soap and I stock that, the rate at which I'll be able to sell all that will probably take me 2 to 3 months. But if I put the same money value into the digital services, the rate at which it's consumed in a day is probably 3 or 4 times So that means at the end of the month, you realize that the margins you're making off your traditional goods are probably 3 to 4%. And yet, if you invested the same or half that money into digital payment, you'd be making at least 20 to 30% more margin. So definitely it means that the money that is available in these businesses, if they churn it into that, they're able to see more. And secondly is that we're able to using our digital ERP solution, mobile ERP solution, these businesses are able to manage and see what is happening in real time in their businesses. So by having digital bookkeeping, that has enabled them actually make the right decisions to propel them. So it's not anymore about emotion or intuition. It's something based on records that you're seeing. And this is the same data that we are getting and giving to Flow. And Flow is able to credit score this data and provide these small businesses credit without collateral. It's so interesting to talk about this. It sounds like magic, some of these businesses. I personally, while I was in my early years of business, I never got an opportunity. I never actually got a loan because I never had collateral. Today, 70% of our businesses that we are working with are able to access this credit. So this is I would consider the value proposition that we offer to these businesses.
Nice. I look forward to becoming one of your agents, supported by you both, Flo and ChapChap. So I will turn it over to the questions that we're getting from the audience. One of the questions is, what does the future hold? What is the role of these agents for e-commerce last mile distribution?
Like I said earlier on, what basically we are doing here is we are gathering numbers. With numbers comes purchasing power. So, for example, what ChapChap is doing at the moment is we are extending this, bringing these digital services close to their communities, but also we are going back to these agents and talking to them and say, what else can we outsource for you and bring this to you? So you talked about e-commerce, which is interesting. One of the barriers of e-commerce in Africa is location and distance, and the mere fact that we have no address. So if you are buying a toothpaste, the cost of getting that toothpaste to you is 5 times more than the toothpaste itself. So somebody would rather say, I'd rather walk to the shop and buy that. But using these corner stores in the future, we see them as a good e-commerce points to reach out the masses.
Thanks, Emma. We have another question. It seems Flow uses mobile money data. Do you also have the ability to move into other sectors, for example, using data on shop inventory?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Doreen. So yeah, Flow uses data to do the scoring. So basically, what that means is that we can partner with any institution that has data. So, for example, the data ChapChap is gathering on inventory through their platform can also be used, for example, to provide additional financing also for other additional activities that are happening in the business. And the opportunities are limitless. There's ride hailing, they have a lot of data there, e-commerce, all that can be used in a very innovative way to come up with solutions to provide credit for different sectors.
Sounds good. So from both of you, what are the plans for the future? For Flow, what markets are you targeting?
Yeah, so currently we are operational in Uganda. We are also currently having a final discussion in Rwanda. So we're looking at Uganda, we're looking at Rwanda. We have markets like Madagascar, the Gambia. So we're scoping around, we're actively trying to ensure that this very innovative solution reaches as many markets as possible. because it's already proven and tested, and the need is definitely there.
And what would your parting words be to the audience? Geoffrey?
Yeah, so my parting words would be, so what we're doing here is just the tip of the iceberg. The opportunities are limitless. So keep watching the space. We have a lot that we are still trying to do on ground. So many sectors that we want to get into, so many innovative solutions that we want to bring to different markets. So probably a year from now, when having this discussion, we'll be having a lot more to talk about.
I hope I'll be back here with you. Thank you, Geoffrey. Emma, your parting remarks?
Doreen, what we seek for as an organization is collaboration. We are dealing with not a small problem. It's a big problem. There are close to 120 million businesses in Africa that never get to celebrate their first birthday. And we strongly believe that many of these shops, commerce means food, shelter, and education for their children. So we ask everyone out there in their capacities to come, listen, join, see, and enable us to reach more businesses and enable them thrive, and not only for them, but for their families and their communities. Thank you.
Thank you both, Emma and Geoffrey, and thank you everybody for joining us on this session. We hope that it was insightful. As you can see, there is a lot that can happen when many people come together. Like Emma has said, collaboration is important. These businesses are providing an extension of traditional services to people who are underserved and in desperate need of essential services. So thank you once again. It's been a pleasure, and enjoy the rest of the session.
Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you, Doreen.
All right, thank you.